Welcome to The Explainer, where we're digging into the highlights of India's 2026 Union Budget. Now, this isn't just a spreadsheet with numbers. Think of it as a roadmap for the future of one of the world's biggest economies. So let's dive in. So the big question is, what's this budget really all about? Is it just more of the same, or are we looking at the foundations of a genuinely new vision for India's economy? That's what we're here to find out. And to really get what they're aiming for, you have to start with this quote. The budget is framed as being guided by three kartavyas, which basically means duties or sacred obligations. You can tell right away this sets a really deliberate, purposeful tone for everything that follows. So, what are these big duties? Well, here they are. First, accelerate growth. Make the whole economic pie bigger. Second, fulfill aspirations. Help people achieve their dreams. And third, ensure equal access. Make sure everybody gets a fair shot. It's a simple but powerful philosophy. Now, let's see how they plan to pull it off. Okay, so you've got this guiding philosophy, but how do you turn big ideas into actual policy, right? Well, that's where this 6-point strategic framework comes into play. This is the how-to guide. And here's the roadmap. Now, we're not going to go through every single one. Instead, for this explainer, we're grouping them into three really massive themes that pop out: powering up industry, backing small businesses, and literally building the India of tomorrow. All right, let's tackle the first big theme, a major push to make India a high-tech manufacturing giant. The budget makes it crystal clear that this is priority number one, and they are putting some serious money behind it. And when I say serious money, I mean it. Just look at this number, 40,000 crore rupees. That's about $5 billion, earmarked just for making electronics components. This is a huge signal that India wants to build its own tech supply chain right from the ground up. And that high-tech push doesn't stop there. Nope. They're also pouring another 10,000 crore rupees into advancing India's biopharma strategy. You can see the pattern here, targeting critical, high-growth global industries. Now, this is super important. It's not just about writing big checks. It's about a concrete strategy. The budget kicks off a second phase for the India semiconductor mission and lays out a plan for rare earth magnet corridors. So why does this matter? Because these things are the absolute building blocks for everything from your smartphone and electric car to next-gen defense tech. Okay, so from those giant factories, let's zoom in on the smaller guys, the micro, small, and medium enterprises, or MSMEs. There's a whole section of the budget dedicated to supporting what's often called the real engine of the Indian economy. So how are they helping? Well, it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. Take a look. There's a big fund for small and medium businesses, a special fund just for the tiniest micro enterprises, and then a wide-ranging credit guarantee scheme for everyone. It's all about making sure businesses of every size can get the fuel they need to grow. Now, this next part might sound a little technical, but it is a huge deal for small businesses. The government is mandating the use of a platform called TREDS. So what is it? Think of it like this. It's a system that helps small businesses get paid for their invoices way faster. It directly attacks one of their biggest problems, cash flow. And that brings us to our third and maybe most visible theme, a record-shattering investment in national infrastructure. This is about laying the physical foundation, the roads, the ports, the railways, for all that future growth. And when we say record-shattering, we mean it. The projected capital spending, or CAPEX, is 12.2 times Lakh Crore rupees. It's hard to even wrap your head around a number that big. That's well over $150 billion, all going into building long-term assets for the country. And just to be clear, this isn't some one-off spike. That massive number is actually a 9% increase over the previous year. So you can see this is a deliberate, consistent strategy to keep boosting infrastructure spending year after year. So what does all that money buy you? Well, you've got the big ticket items like high-speed rail corridors and opening up 20 new waterways. But what's really fascinating is how they're helping to pay for all this by unlocking value from assets the government already owns. So let's break that down. They plan to use something called REITs. It's actually a pretty smart idea. The government owns a ton of real estate through its public companies, right? A lot of it just sits there. With a REIT, they can bundle up that property and sell shares in it to investors. It's a way to unlock cash from otherwise idle assets, and then they can pour that money right back into new projects. Okay, so we've seen the push for big industry, support for small businesses, and massive infrastructure projects. Now, let's zoom all the way out, because none of this is happening in a vacuum. It's all pointing towards a huge long-term goal for the country:
with a very specific year in mind, 2047.
And you can see just how wide-ranging this vision is. I mean, look at this list. We're talking about everything from making India a hub for medical tourism, to figuring out the impact of AI on jobs, to even setting up content creator labs in schools. It really shows they're thinking about every single angle of the future economy.
But if you had to boil down that entire long-term ambition into one single massive target, this would be it. The goal is for India to capture a full 10% share of the entire global services sector. That is a huge ambition. And when do they want to hit that target? You guessed it, 2047. That year is the North Star for this whole budget, connecting all the dots from today's spending to a very clear destination decades from now.
So when you piece it all together, the guiding duties, the massive investments, the long-term vision, it all leads to the one big question, doesn't it? Is this the plan? Is this the blueprint that will truly transform India's economic destiny? Well, that is the multi-trillion-dollar question everyone's going to be watching.